Side 2. After the mad Frobscottle party was over, Sophie settled herself again on top of the enormous table. "You're galloping off now," the BFG said, "to catch some more wopsy-whiffling dreams for my collection. I was doing this every day without missing. Did you wishing to come with me?" Not me, thank you very much," Sophie said. "Not with those other giants lurking outside. I is snuggling you very cosy into the pocket of my waistcoat. Then no one is seeing you." Before Sophie could protest, he had picked her up off the table and popped her into the waistcoat pocket. "Is you wishing for a little hole to peep out from?" "There's one here already." Sophie had found a small hole in the pocket, and when she put one eye close to it, she could see out very well indeed. She watched the BFG as he bent down and filled his suitcase with empty glass jars. He closed the lid, picked up the suitcase in one hand, took the pole with the net on the end in the other hand, and marched towards the entrance of the cave. As soon as he was outside, the BFG set off across the great, hot, yellow wasteland. Sophie, squatting low on her heels in the pocket of the leather waistcoat, had one eye glued to the little hole. She saw the group of enormous giants about 300 yards ahead. "Hold your breaths," the BFG whispered down to her. "Cross your figures. Here we go. We is going right past all these other giants. Is you seeing that whopping great one, the one nearest to us?" "I see him." "That is the horriblest of them all. He is called the flesh-lump-eating giant." "I don't want to hear about him." "He is 54 feet high," the BFG said softly as he jogged along, "and he is swallowing human beings like they is sugar lumps 2 or 3 at a time." "Keep away from him," Sophie pleaded. "Not possible," the BFG answered. "He is galloping easily 2 times as quicksy as me." "Shall we turn back?" Sophie said. "Turning back is worse. If they is seeing me running away, they is all giving chase and throwing rocks." "They would never eat you, though, would they?" "Giants is never guzzling other giants. They is fighting and squarreling a lot with each other, but never guzzling. Human beings is more tasty to them." The giants had already spotted the BFG, and all heads were turned, watching him as he jogged forward. He was aiming to pass well to the right of the group. Through her little peephole, Sophie saw the flesh-lump-eating giant moving over to intercept them. He didn't hurry. He just loped over casually to a point where the BFG would have to pass. The others loped after him. Sophie counted 9 of them altogether, and she recognized the blood bottler in the middle of them. "Hello there, runty one," boomed the flesh-lump-eater. "Where is you, Splatch, winkling away to in such a hefty hurry?" He shot out an enormous arm and grabbed the BFG by the hair. "Be so kind as to be letting go of my hair, flesh-lump-eater." The flesh-lump-eater released him. "Now then, you little grub-squiffler," boomed the flesh-lump-eater. "We is all of us want to know where you is galloping off to every day in the daytime. The human beings could easily be spotting you and starting a giant hunt." "I is not galloping to any human being country. I is going to other places." "I is thinking," said the flesh-lump-eater, "that you is catching human beings and keeping them as pets." "Right you is," cried the blood bottler. "Just now I is hearing him chittering away to one of them in his cave." "Well, you is welcome to go and search my cave, from frack to bunt." Sophie crouched, still as a mouse, inside the BFG's pocket. Suddenly, the flesh-lump-eater shot out 2 enormous hands and grabbed the BFG round the waist. He tossed him high in the air and shouted, "Catch him, man-hugger!" The man-hugger caught him. The other giants spread out quickly in a large circle, each about 20 yards from his neighbour, preparing for the game they were going to play. Now the man-hugger threw the BFG high and far, shouting, "Catch him, bone cruncher!" And so it went on. The giants were playing ball with the BFG, vying with each other to see who could throw him the highest. Sophie dug her nails into the sides of the pocket, trying to prevent herself from tumbling out when she was upside down. In the end, they got bored with this game. They dumped the poor BFG on the ground. They gave him a few kicks and shouted, "Run, you little runt!" The BFG ran. What else could he do? At last he got clear of them all, and in another couple of minutes the pack of giants was out of sight over the horizon. Sophie popped her head up from the pocket. "I didn't like that," she said. "Phew," said the BFG. "I is sorry. You was having such a whirly-gig time." "No worse than you," Sophie said. "How do they actually catch the humans they eat?" Sophie asked. "Well, they is usually just sticking an arm through the bedroom window and snitching them from their beds. Like you did to me." "Ah, but I isn't eating you. Sometimes they's swimmelling in from the sea like fishes with only their head showing above the water, and then out comes a big hairy hand and grabbles someone off the beach." "What, children as well?" "Often chidlers," the BFG said. "Little chidlers is not so tough to eat as old grandmamma." As they talked, the BFG was galloping fast over the land. "But if all these people are disappearing, surely there's some sort of outcry," Sophie said. "Well, the world is a whopping big place," the BFG said. "The giants is clever. They's careful not to be skedaddling off to the same country too often. Don't forget that human beings is disappearing everywhere all the time, even without the giants is guzzling them up. And human beings is killing each other much quicker than the giants is doing it." "But they don't eat each other," Sophie said. "I is not understanding human beings at all," the BFG said. "You is a human being, and you is saying it is grizzling and origust for giants to be eating human beings, right or left?" "Right," Sophie said. "But human beings is squishing each other all the time." He was right, and Sophie knew it. "Even so," she said, defending her own race, "I think it's rotten that those foul giants should go off every night to eat humans. Humans have never done them any harm." "That is what the little piggy wiggy is saying every day. He is saying, I has never done any harm to the human being, so why should he be eating me?" "Oh dear," Sophie said. "But you don't like it that those beastly giants are eating human every night, do you?" "I do not," the BFG answered firmly. "One right is not making two lefts." Suddenly the BFG went into that magical top gear of his. His speed was unbelievable. The landscape became blurred, and again Sophie had to duck down. But this time the BFG didn't stay in top gear long. It seemed as though he'd had some barrier to cross, a vast mountain perhaps, or an ocean, or a great desert, but having crossed it, he once again slowed down, and Sophie was able to pop her head up and look out once more at the view. The land was flat and treeless. Every minute the mist became thicker and the air became colder. There was some sort of grass underfoot, but it wasn't green, it was ashy grey. There was no sign of a living creature, and no sound at all except for the soft thud of the BFG's footsteps as he hurtled on. Suddenly he stopped. He bent down and lifted Sophie from his pocket and put her on the ground. "Where are we?" "We is in dream country. This is where all dreams is beginning." The big friendly giant put the suitcase on the ground. He bent down low. "From now on, we is keeping as still as winky little mices," he whispered. Sophie nodded. The BFG opened the suitcase and took out several empty glass jars. He set them ready on the ground, with their screw tops removed. Then he stood up very straight. He was holding the long net in his right hand. Suddenly the BFG pounced. He leapt high in the air and swung the net through the mist with a great swishing sweep of his arm. "Got him," jar! A jar! Quick, quick, quick!" Sophie picked up a jar and held it up to him. He grabbed hold of it. He lowered the net. Very carefully he tipped something absolutely invisible from the net into the jar. He dropped the net and swiftly clapped one hand over the jar. "The top!" he whispered. "The jar top, quick!" Sophie picked up the screw top and handed it to him. He screwed it on tight, and the jar was closed. "It's a wink squiffler," he whispered with a thrill in his voice. It's even better. It's a golden fizz wizard. Oh, my, oh, my." He handed the jar to Sophie and said, "Please, be still as a starfish now. I was thinking there may be a whole swarm of fizz wizards up here today." Once again the BFG stood up tall in the mist. Then came the long silence. At last, with surprising suddenness, came the leap and the swish of the net. "Another jar! Quick, quick, quick!"